Hello guys, myself Chirag Jain. ISRO interview is one of the difficult interview faced by engineering graduates. So I try to compile all interview questions of ISRO for communication systems. I hope it will be helpful to make your own strategy to crack interview exam. So here we go. So we start with very first question, and that is tell us about frequency ranges and its applications. Actually, there can be many answers like audio frequency range is 20 Hz to 20 kilohertz, voice frequency range is 300 Hz to 3.4 kilohertz, satellite communication range is 1 gigahertz to 30 gigahertz, and there can be I2 frequency ranges also and microwave frequency ranges also. In next slides, we will talk about I2 frequency ranges and microwave frequency ranges. So these are I2 frequency bands. इसमें these are wavelengths. These are name of frequency bands. VLF very low frequency, medium frequency, high frequency, very high frequency, ultra high frequency and super high frequency. These are the some examples of these I2 frequency bands. सबसे important जो bands हैं वो है फर्स्ट बैंड मीडियम फ्रिक्वेंसी बैंड, बिकॉज इसमें AM रेडियो जिसका रेंज है 535 टू 1605 किलोहर्ट्ज. दिस इज द बेस्ट एग्जांपल ऑफ ग्राउंड वेव कम्युनिकेशन. सेकेंड इंपॉर्टेंट बैंड है वेरी हाई फ्रिक्वेंसी, बिकॉज इसमें FM रेडियो का फ्रिक्वेंसी रेंज आता है जिसका रेंज है 88 टू 108 मेगाहर्ट्ज. थर्ड इंपॉर्टेंट रेंज है अल्ट्रा हाई फ्रिक्वेंसी. इसमें जो भी हमारे मोबाइल कम्युनिकेशन है लाइक GSM और CDM, GSM का रेंज है 800, 900, 1800 एंड 1900 मेगाहर्ट्ज. और इसके बाद जो इम्पोर्टेंट बैंड है वो है सुपर हाई फ्रिक्वेंसी, बिकॉज इसमें आता है सैटेलाइट कम्युनिकेशन. सैटेलाइट कम्युनिकेशन के स्टार्टिंग आपको बताया था 1 गीगाहर्ट्ज टू 30 गीगाहर्ट्ज. इसमें बेस्ट एग्जांपल है हमारा DVB TV, जिसका जो अप्रॉक्स है 14 गीगाहर्ट्ज पर काम करता है. तो आपको ये 3 बैंड्स हमेशा याद रखना है. So these are the microwave bands given by IEEE, and IEEE have defined some names to these bands. These names are L band, S band, C band, X band, KU band, K band and KA band. These frequency ranges start from 1 GHz to 40 GHz. इसमें सबसे ज़्यादा इम्पोर्टेंट जो बैंड है वह है C band. Reason is there are two bands which are most used by ISRO in satellite communication. These are C band and KU band. C band range is from 4 to 8 gigahertz. KU range is 12 to 8 gigahertz. Now next question arises, that is their applications. In most cases C bands are used because it is less susceptible to rain fade than KU band. And why KU band is used? Because it gives less size of antenna and it gives high bandwidth. So DVB TV is example of KU band. In EM waves, we have seen the formula of attenuation of EM waves. Attenuation is proportional to under root of frequency. When we increase frequency, attenuation also increases. So we prefer C band because for weather satellites. Next frequency asked questions in ISRO interviews is about digital modulation techniques. They ask about the types of modulation techniques. There are many types of modulation techniques like ASK, amplitude shift keying, FSK, frequency shift keying, PSK, phase shift keying, QAM, quadrature amplitude modulation, MSK, minimum shift keying, and OFDM. orthogonal frequency division multiplexing. Out of these techniques, most important techniques are PSK, QAM and MSK. PSK is further divided into three parts. One part is QPSK, quadrature amplitude modulation. This is the constellation diagram for QPSK. There are four symbols 0, 0, 0, 0, 1, 1, 0 and 1, 1. These are arranged as gray code, and between them there are 90-degree angle. Other variant of PSK is M-array PSK. M can be greater than 4. It is a power of 2 to the power n. This is the constellation diagram for PSK, M-array PSK. And here value of M is 8. And all symbols are arranged into a circle. Next variant of PSK is differential PSK, or it is also called DPSK. These are the some points which are asked about digital modulation techniques. First point is about bit error rate, or bit error rate is also called probability of error. And bit error rate of binary PSK and QPSK are almost same, but QPSK uses almost half bandwidth of BPSK. This is the main advantage of using QPSK. Next is bit error rate order. Bit error rate for M-array PSK is highest, and bit error rate for QPSK or BPSK is lowest. So this is the two main advantage of using QPSK. Next point is, as we increase the value of M, it increases bandwidth utilization, but bit error rate also increases. So we can say that there is a trade-off between bandwidth utilization and bit error rate or probability of error. And DPSK, which is variant of PSK, DPSK is called differential PSK. Actually, advantage of DPSK is it uses less bandwidth compared to binary PSK, and it can be detected non-correctly. This is the important point about DPSK. And next question which can be asked is about bit error rate and baud rate difference. Bit rate is bits per second and baud rate is symbols per second. This is the relation between baud rate and bit rate. Baud rate is equal to bit rate upon log base 2m. And next question which can be asked is about QAM. QAM is quadrature amplitude modulation. In QAM, both amplitude and phase of carrier is changed, and it makes a square constellation. Example is DVB-TV, and it is mostly used in satellite communication. In last slide, we have seen that QPSK is good technique, but there are some problem with QPSK. So there are two variants of QPSK which are used, and one variant is offset QPSK and other variant is pi/4 QPSK. So this was the question asked about offset QPSK. What is offset QPSK? In QPSK, phase change can be up to 180 degree, which is very abrupt change. And to overcome this issue, we use offset QPSK. In offset QPSK, the in phase and quadrature components are offset by half a symbol period. So this ensures that both bits do not change state at same time. So therefore, it limits the maximum phase change up to 90 degree. This is the most important point. The maximum phase change in offset QPSK can up to 90 degree only. So next question is, what is pi/4 QPSK? Pi/4 QPSK uses two type of consolation diagram. One consolation diagram is QPSK and other consolation diagram is its shifted version by 45 degree, and symbols are chosen from these two consolation diagrams alternatively. This ensures that maximum phase change can be up to 135 degree. Next modulation techniques is minimum shift keying, and minimum shift keying is a type of continuous phase FSK. In continuous phase FSK, the carriers used are orthogonal, so there is no phase discontinuity between two consecutive symbols, and modulation index is half, or we can say that the frequency difference between two carriers are 1 upon 2 TB. Here TB is bit interval, and this is the consolation diagram of MSK. And in GMSK is a special case of MSK, where if we use Gaussian filter before MSK, it is called GMSK. And advantage of using GMSK is it makes side lobe area low compared to MSK. So GMSK is also used in GSM mobile. In this diagram, we can see that green one is MSK and red one is GMSK, and these are the side lobes. Side lobe area is less compared to MSK, so there will be less interference. The next question is about multiplexing techniques. There are three multiplexing techniques: TDMA, FDMA, and CDMA. TDMA and FDMA are multiplexing in time domain and frequency domain. It is easy and you can answer it easily. And the next question asked is what is CDMA? And CDMA is in CDMA each user share same frequency or time, but the codes are called spread spectrum codes used in modulation side is different for each user. So next question is about what is PN sequence. PN sequence is used in spread spectrum and spread spectrum is used in CDMA. So this is the next question. What is a PN sequence? PN sequence is also called pseudo random noise, and these are set of random bits 1 and 0, and these are generated by some certain autocorrelation properties and algorithms. So next question is what is spread spectrum and what are the types of spread spectrum. Actually there are two types of spread spectrum techniques: direct sequence and frequency hopping. This is the diagram for spread spectrum. In this diagram, PSK techniques is used, and after PSK techniques, spread spectrum techniques are used. Spread in direct sequence method, modulated signal is just multiplied by PN sequence. PN sequence are nothing but just high frequency square wave, high frequency random square wave, and at receiver side these PN sequence are known, so this is demodulated by same PN sequence. So in CDMA, at the receiver side their PN sequence must be known. So these are the questions about PCM. PCM is pulse code modulation, and this is an easy topic comparatively. And first question asked was steps in PCM. There are three steps: sampling, quantization, and encoding. And next question which was asked about PCM is what is delta modulation? What type of error it have? So delta modulation is 1 bit DPCM. Here DPCM is differential PCM, and errors are there are two type of errors: slope overload error and granular noise. And next question is about what is uniform quantization and non-uniform quantization. In uniform quantization, step size is constant. In non-uniform quantization, step size are different. And there can be a next question. It is about compounding techniques. What are compounding techniques? Compounding techniques of is composed of two terms. Compounding is equal to compression plus expansion. Compression is done at transmitter side and expansion is done at receiver side. And in the process of compounding, the weak signals are amplified. This is called compression, and strong signals are attenuated before applying them to uniform quantizer. This is called compression. It is done at transmitter side. Opposite to compression, this is called expansion. Expansion is done at receiver side. And next question is, what is aliasing effect in sampling? When sampling frequency is less than twice of message frequency, which is also called Nyquist criteria, it is not possible to recover the message at receiver side. Next type of questions asked is what is ISI? ISI and how to remove it. When transmitted signal is dispersed in time domain, it interferes to adjacent signal in time domain. It is called ISI, intersymbol interference. To remove it, Nyquist gave criteria for zero ISI. And next question is, what is raised cosine filter? Raised cosine filter is a special case of sync pulse. And before sync pulse, there is a filter, and which introduces a roll-off factor. Roll-off factor is used to change bandwidth of sync pulse. Next question is, what is match filter? This is an important frequency asked question. Match filter. Actually, match filter is optimum filter used at receiver side. It is used to maximize the SNR value in presence of AWG and noise. Match filter has response equal to conjugate delayed version of input signal. So this is a diagram of match filter. This is a noise, and at receiver side match filter is used. Next part is about questions on satellite communication. And first question asked is about orbits. There are three type of orbits: lower Earth orbit (LEO), medium Earth orbit (MEO), and geostationary Earth orbits. Its delays are: delay for LEO is 5 millisecond, delay for MEO is about 100 millisecond, and delay for GEO is about 270 millisecond per hop latency. And next frequency asked question is about uplink and downlink frequency. What are uplink and downlink frequency and which is high? Uplink frequency is a frequency of signal which is transmitted by earth station towards satellite, and we know that earth station can have can transmit higher power compared to low power satellite. So uplink frequency is high because high frequency has higher attenuation, which can be overcome by transmitting high power, which is possible at earth station compared to low power satellite. This is the main reason uplink frequency for satellite communication will be always higher. And next question is about C-band and Ku band comparison. We have seen comparison in earlier slides. And next question is about what frequency range used in satellite communication and why. Frequency for satellite communication is will be more than 1 gigahertz because it can easily penetrate ionosphere. This is the first reason, and second reason is it requires less size of antenna, and third reason is at higher frequency there can be large bandwidth. And next question is about Kepler's law. There are three Kepler's law. First law is the path followed by satellite around its primary will be always an ellipse. Second law is for equal interval of time, the area covered by satellite will be same with respect to center of mass. And third law is about time period, and it is square of time period is proportional to cube of semi-major axis. T square is proportional to a cube. Next questions are about noise in communication. These are the what are the types of noise. There can be two type of noise: internal noise and external noise. Internal noise are generated inside devices either in transmitter side or receiver side. First type of internal noise is thermal noise. Second is short noise. Third is flicker noise, and fourth is transit time noise. And external noises are atmosphere noise, solar noise, cosmic noise, and crosstalk. Next questions is about thermal noise. Thermal noise is generated by random fluctuation of electrons due to thermal agitation, and the noise power is given by P equal to KTB. Here K is Boltzmann constant, T is temperature, B is bandwidth of signal. Next question is about effective noise temperature. Effective noise temperature T equal to P upon KB. It is ratio of power to bandwidth. So it is used to model noise contribution given by either two-port network or amplifier. So we can say that effective noise temperature at receiver side is given by effective noise temperature at input of antenna and noise contribution given by system. Next is why we use LNA. LNA is low noise amplifier, and noise contribution given by first stage amplifier is maximum. So we use LNA at first stage, and LNA is most costly device in receiver side. Next question is about eye diagram. Eye diagram is created by superimposing successive waveforms to form a composite image. The eye diagram is used to recognize the effect of distortion and jitter at receiver side at CRO. Jitter is noise due to delay or different pulse width. This is the diagram of eye makeup. These are four signals: 011, 001, 100, and 110. These are superimposed over one another to make eye diagram. Next question is where AWGN noise occurs. AWGN noise is nothing but a linear combination of many type of noise like short noise, flicker noise, and transit time noise, and so on. From central limit theorem, we can say that the sum of each random variable is Gaussian random variable. And but this AWGN noise model is not used in fading and interference. Next questions are about fading. First question is what is multipath fading? Signals may come at receiver from different path. These various received signal may come at different time because all paths lengths are different, which can cause smearing of signal at receiver side. This type of noise is called multipath fading. And a solution to multipath fading is using diversity techniques at receiver side. Next question is types of fading. First classification is there are two type of fading, slow fading and fast fading. The term slow and fast fading refers to rate at which magnitude and phase change imposed by channel on signal changes. Next classification is frequency selective fading and flat fading. In frequency selective fading, different frequency signals are affected differently, and in flat fading, all frequency components are affected equally. Next questions are about analog communication, and analog communications are comparatively easy. First question is about what is pre-emphasis and de-emphasis. Pre-emphasis and de-emphasis are techniques used at FM, frequency modulation. In FM, if high frequency signals are boosted before transmission, it is called pre-emphasis, and opposite to pre-emphasis is called de-emphasis. This is done because we know that at high frequencies, noise are more compared to low frequency signals. So this should be boosted. Next question is about PLL. What are the components of PLL? Phase lock loop. There are three components: multiplier, low pass filter, and voltage control oscillator used at feedback. Next questions are about super heterodyne receiver. Super heterodyne receiver has three components: RF amplifier, mixer, and IF amplifier. IF amplifier is intermediate frequency amplifier. Next frequency asked question is what is image frequency? If we do not use RF amplifier at super heterodyne receiver, there are two signals which can be amplified by IF amplifier. First signal is original signal and second signal is image signal, which is unwanted signal, and image signal is equal to Fs plus 2 into If. Fs is signal frequency, If is intermediate frequency. Next question is what is threshold effect in FM? Below critical input carrier to noise ratio, the output signal to noise ratio decreased drastically. Next questions are about optical fiber. First is modes in optical fiber. There are two modes in optical fiber: single mode and multi-mode. Single mode can carry single mode of light in a fiber, and in multi-mode fiber it has fairly large core diameter that enables multiple link modes to be propagate, but it limits the maximum length of transmission link because of modal dispersion. So practically for long distance we use single mode fiber, and for small distance we use multi-mode fibers. And second is type of optical fibers. There are two type of optical fibers available. First is step index and second is graded index. In step index fiber, refractive index changes abruptly, but in graded index fiber, core refractive index decreases with radial distance from core axis. Next is losses in optical fiber. There are absorption losses, scattering loss, and bending loss. And next question is about operating windows. There are three operating windows in optical fiber: 800 to 900 nanometer, 1310 nanometer, it is called O band, 1550 nanometer, it is called C band. They are the band wavelength at which there is a minimum attenuation. Next questions are about mobile technologies. First question is what are GSM network components? There are three network components: BSS. BSS is composed of BSC, BTS, and BSC. And second is MSC, Mobile Switching Center, VLR, Visitors Location Register, and HSS. And third is GPRS, where data related activities occurs. Next is what is UMTS? UMTS is 3G version of GSM. It is compared to CDM 2000 in CDMA family. UMTS uses wideband CDMA at 2100 MHz approx. It can be upgraded to HSPDA. HSPDA is also called 3.5G, and main difference with GSM is there is node B and RNC in network architecture instead of BSS. And next is what is LTE? LTE is long term evolution. It is also called 4G. It is upgradation version of 3GPP, and OFDM is used in downlink, and single carrier FDMA is used in uplink. And voice calls are packet switch, unlike 3G and 2G. In 3G and 2G, voice calls are a circuit switch. Completed to LTE is WiMAX. WiMAX is 802.16. These are the other questions asked. What is Shannon theorem? Shannon theorem, it is related to channel capacity theorem, and it gives maximum data rate that can be achieved in a channel. It depends on signal bandwidth and channel SNR. C equal to B log 2 base 1 plus SNR. Next question is why at night radio signals are more clear. We can see that at night ionosphere layers have less charged ion, so D layer disappear and F1 F2 layer merge at night. Next question is what is Ethernet? Ethernet is set of protocols used to communicate devices in LAN and WAN, local area network and wide area network. IEEE specifies in the family of standard called IEEE 802.3 that the Ethernet protocol touches both layer 1 physical layer and layer 2 data link layer on the open system interconnection OSI model. WLAN is family of Wi-Fi, and Wi-Fi standard is 802.11. Next question is what is MIMO system? MIMO system is multiple input multiple output system. When there is multiple transmission and receiver antenna, then it is called MIMO, multiple input multiple output system. Using MIMO, data rate and SNR can be improved. MIMO is latest technique. It is used in LTE and Wi-Fi 802.11 AC and WiMAX also. Next question is what is UART? UART is Universal Access Receiver Transmitter, is a serial communication device that performs parallel to serial and serial to parallel conversion. Hope you liked the video. Please subscribe my channel to get latest update. Thank you.